Meantime, Americans have yet to see President Trump's health care plan, but Speaker Johnson says House Republicans are not happy with it. The Wall Street Journal reports that in a phone call with administration officials, Johnson cautioned the White House that most members do not support a 2-year extension of the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies, which expire at the end of the year. That's according to people familiar with the matter. While not confirming the president's plan, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave an update on discussions.
I will tell you that healthcare is a topic of discussion that's happening very frequently and robustly inside the West Wing right now. The president's very much involved in these talks, and he's very focused on unveiling a healthcare proposal that will fix the system and will bring down costs for consumers. As for the details of those discussions, I'll let the president speak for himself.
Joining us now is Democratic Congressman of California, Sam Liccardo, and Republican Congressman of California, Kevin Kiley. It's good to have both of you here together. Congressman Kiley, I wonder what you are hearing from your fellow Republicans. If the president's plan is a 2-year extension with some income limits, is that a non-starter for a lot of your colleagues?
Actually, I think it's a great starting point for a lot of my colleagues, and it's very much in line with what Representative Liccardo and I have proposed. I mean, I think there are a lot of Republicans as well as Democrats who absolutely do not want to see many of our constituents see this massive increase in healthcare costs. And so the idea of just extending the program without any reforms, that might be a non-starter, but that's not what the White House proposed, and that's certainly not what we're proposing. We have reforms, we have pay-fors, so that the program or the extension is actually fiscally responsible. And for folks who say, well, you know, the problem here is Obamacare or the costs keep going up, which is kind of the line you've gotten out of House Republican leadership, what I'd say is why should our constituents, if that's true, why should our constituents have to pay the price for it? What we need to do is provide them some relief so that they don't have this immediate cliff that's going to massively increase the cost of their health insurance. And then that'll provide us the runway we need to actually have these larger conversations about healthcare reform in this country.
So to that point, Congressman Liccardo, do Democrats see this as a sign there is an opportunity now to negotiate and get something done?
Well, absolutely. Better late than never. We welcome President Trump to the conversation, and I think this is a critical negotiation that has to happen. It has to happen quickly. And you know, I've reached out by phone to probably more than 30 Republican colleagues, and many of them are saying quietly what Kevin has the courage to say publicly, which is we have to find a way to do this to protect 22 million Americans who are going to see their premiums double, but do it fiscally responsibly. Make sure we can pay for it. Make sure we're addressing fraud and waste. And I think they're right in wanting that. And I'm grateful that Kevin stepped forward to join me in this bill.
Congressman Kiley, I want to play how your Republican colleague, Tim Burchett, reacted to the president's plan. Take a listen.
We got to quit pointing fingers. We got to start doing something with this thing. At least Trump's proposal does something over a 2-year period. It keeps people from losing their insurance, and it verifies that it's not a bunch of frauds going on. So anyway, I think it's something we ought to be looking at, but we probably won't. We'll probably kill it in the press, and everybody, anonymous sources, but it gets us to the dadgum table.
Do you have more optimism than we just heard from your colleague? And I guess the other question really is for me, given the public sentiment and even the polling we've seen on healthcare, why is this not the prevailing sentiment coming out of both caucuses right now?
Yeah, well, it should be. It's a symptom of maybe the gridlock and just the dysfunction in Washington. But I actually take heart from Tim's comments there. You know, he's maybe someone that you wouldn't expect to necessarily be on board with an extension. But he's saying, actually, this is a good idea. This is the right combination. This is precisely what Representative Liccardo and I have offered, is a short-term extension that includes reforms, that fights against fraud and improper payments, and it's fiscally responsible so that we're not increasing the deficit in the process. I think that's a deal that we could find broad bipartisan support for. So I don't share Tim's pessimism. And just to underscore the point here of the sort of folks who are about to run into this cliff, I was talking to a DoorDash driver who was telling me, and he does some odd jobs here and there, that he's about to have to pay thousands of dollars more for healthcare. This is actually millions of independent contractors like him that we're talking about, small business owners, small business employees, retirees who are not yet eligible for Medicare. These are the folks that are about to pay the price for congressional inaction. And so that's why I do think that people are starting to see that, and we have an opportunity here to get this done in the next month.
Yeah, and I would just add Kevin's point.
No, go ahead.
This is why 78% of Americans support extension of these premium tax credits. This is wildly popular with the American public. Kevin recognizes that's the case. I think President Trump is also recognizing that's the case. That includes, of course, Republicans. So let's do this for our constituents.
Well, when you say our constituents, I was thinking about it as I watched Congressman Burchett in his car. Right? Maybe he's going from one event to another or meeting with constituents. Who knows? But Congressman Kiley, what are you hearing directly from your constituents, and what is the level of frustration out there?
Yeah, the story I just told you is not an isolated incident. When we're talking about 22 million Americans, that's a lot of people in everyone's district. And so we can have debates about why we've gotten to this affordability crisis when it comes to healthcare in this country. And you'll have some very sharp differences of opinion, both across the aisle and within our respective conferences. But what we should all be able to agree on is that forcing all of those constituents to have to pay this price, and we're talking about people who will pay thousands and thousands of dollars more. And the cost of living is already very high in California. The cost of healthcare is already very high in California. And if Congress does not act, then that is going to actually create these hardships for many of our constituents, regardless of what state we're talking about, regardless of Republican or Democrat. And so that's why I do think you have a lot of interest in doing something here. And I think the vehicle that we have offered is the right compromise. This bill that Sam and I have put forward, the Fix-It Act, we have more bipartisan co-sponsors that are coming on board every day. So I'm hopeful that within the next few weeks here, we can really start to gain more momentum and get this across the finish line to stop this hardship from spreading across the country.
We only have 30 seconds left, but Congressman Liccardo, on behalf of the DoorDash drivers and all the folks out there, the millions of people who need this health insurance and can't afford to pay what their premiums would be, what's your level of optimism right now?
Well, we're having conversations every day that give me more and more hope. Just as recently as yesterday, I was in a conversation with about 25 of my colleagues. So I think this momentum is building. I'd like to believe we can keep it going, and certainly President Trump can help if he wants to get into this negotiation. Certainly, he's indicated a desire to start.
Well, I'm appreciative that this program gets to be a place where there can be a bipartisan conversation for people to hear it does exist. California Congressman Kevin Kiley and Sam Liccardo, thank you both.